As you probably figured out from the title, Civilization 4 is the fourth game in the Civilization strategy series for the PC. And if you're already a Civ fan but you haven't gotten Civ 4 yet, you can go ahead and hit the pause button and get the game now, because it's definitely worth it. We'll wait. For the rest of us, Civ 4 makes a bunch of new additions, some great, some not all that great, to what is basically the same Civilization formula we've all known and loved for years. And that's not a bad thing. Like the other games in the series, Civ 4 makes you the leader of one of the world's nations, like President Roosevelt from the US or Napoleon of France. Then you try to take over the world by doing things like researching the best technology, creating the most cultured society, or just conquering everybody else. Pretty much all these strategies, and all the gameplay that goes into them, like researching technology, building armies, improving your cities, and creating culture, have been updated since Civ 3. For example, the combat system has been tweaked to make a lot more sense. Now all your combat units have a generic strength rating, and yes, tanks have a lot more strength than spearmen. And all units can gain multiple levels and choose from lots of new upgrades that encourage you to make strategic decisions about how you'll use them. Other strategic elements like diplomacy and research have been tweaked too. Diplomacy now offers a lot more options. You can trade a lot more things with your neighboring nations, including the new open borders option. See, in Civ 4, no one can enter your territory unless you're at war with them or if you agree to open borders. This is great news for players who like to hang back and try to develop their science or culture, although other nations will remember if you keep refusing to help them. Research and development have been tweaked to be a lot faster. Like the previous games, Civ 4 has different ages, like the Classical Age and the Industrial Age, but different technologies aren't tied to ages, so you can actually get some techs before others. Once you get started with your research, it really starts to fly by, which means that Civ 4 seems to lose a bit of its classical historical flavor, since several ages will fly right past you. Then again, this means that you can finish a game in an hour or two, or even less. Even production has been tweaked, so you can't transfer production from one project to another, even if someone builds a wonder of the world before you. This is actually a good change, because again, it makes you focus on strategic decisions, rather than worrying about exactly how many production points will transfer here and there. The Civ 4 also adds some new stuff like religion and great people. There are 7 different world religions in the game, and each is tied to specific technologies. Religion is best used when you have all your cities, and hopefully everyone else's cities, with the same faith, yours. You can also use missionary units to try to convert other cities, but religion, while interesting, isn't a crucial addition to the game, and you don't actually need it to win. However, you probably will want to try out great people, which are special units that you'll create if you're especially cultured, scientific, or warlike. These great people can be used up to create powerful bonuses for yourself, and since one of the game's new leader traits encourages production of great people, focusing on them is actually a viable strategy. The game offers plenty more options to tweak and change to the single-player and multiplayer experience too, such as choosing different landmasses to start on, and choosing different game speeds. You can even play multiplayer not just over the internet or on a LAN, but also by email or hotseat, on the same computer. Unfortunately, the game doesn't ship with some of the extras it might have if it hadn't had its release date moved up. The Pit Boss persistent multiplayer option isn't in the original game, nor are the modification tools, but at least you get a couple mods and scenarios. Civ 4 even looks and sounds pretty good. While the interface seems a little rough and the Civlopedia reference is as disorganized as ever, the game also has really well-animated and expressive portraits for its world leaders, and a 3D world map that zooms out to almost a board game view. The sound is also pretty solid. Some music tracks are more memorable than others, like the title track, that sounds like it could have come from the Disney movie The Lion King. Also, the game is narrated every time you start a new game or research a new tech by Leonard Nimoy, also known as Mr. Spock, whose wise-sounding voice helps out a touch of class.
For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven.
Despite a few minor issues and the unfortunate lack of some of the extra tools and multiplayer options, Civ 4 still has plenty to offer just about anyone, even though beginners will probably find it a bit overwhelming. Then again, Civ 4's depth and highly addictive strategy are worth figuring out for beginners, and for those of us who are already Civ fans, well, if you haven't already picked up this game, what are you waiting for?